Welcome back, everybody, to DissedMedia, a startup story, the podcast where we take you behind the scenes of starting a business from the ground up. And today we're going to be getting into marketing. And marketing is a really important, essential part of business. It's one of those kind of fundamental core elements that we talk about along with sales, along with supply chain, along with financing. But the thing about marketing is it can be tricky. It can be difficult. It can be hard to figure out. It can be not necessarily prescriptive in the sense that we could try one thing, it hits, it does well. We try to replicate that, doesn't do as well. The big question is, why do we sometimes try and replicate what other people are doing with success and fail at that? Why do we sometimes hit it out of the ballpark and not clearly sure why? And there's a lot of things that go into it. And today we have an expert to talk about marketing, to talk about positioning and how to get your brand really present and shown. Today we're joined by Amber Gaige. She is the founder and chief marketing advisor at Far Beyond Marketing. Welcome to the show, Amber. Amber, how are you doing today?
If I were any better, I'd be twins. Thank you for having me.
I love it. Thank you for joining, and I appreciate you wanting to, kind of share what you do. One of the things I like to try and build the background of where we've been and how we got to what we're doing today. If you wouldn't mind maybe sharing a little bit about your background and what you are involved in today.
Sure, I'd love to. I was involved in a family business from the time I could walk. As a matter of fact, I was doing filing and phone answering for my dad at the ripe old age of 8. So family business and entrepreneurship was formative in my educational years, plural. And I finished high school rather early, having been homeschooled, and then started my own company while still coming back and working in the family business after university. And at that point in time, I was blessed to apply tons of knowledge that I had learned from my family. And my company scaled in 5 years, and I got to sell it to private equity. And that's a business that I think you're even familiar with in the Atlanta area. And after that point in time, I got to work in private equity. And that was a big switch from being a homegrown plumber's kid to the corporate environment of private equity. But it taught me a lot. It gave me the opportunity to apply localized marketing tactics on an enterprise level. And that's when my passion for analytics and creativity really got to come together. And I got to have the flexibility of applying things on a national level for our subsidiaries and really see what worked and what didn't work. After that, I got to put my tech background to work as a chief marketing officer and chief information officer at a manufacturing company in Wisconsin. We had 90 subsidiaries in 10 states. I had to have a clear line of sight to know what marketing was working, in what region, for what products. And then we had to create our own CRM that worked for our hub and spoke licensees. And from there, I became a mama and had my precious 9-year-old son, who is going on 19, if you think about his attitude level sometimes. And God bless mamas everywhere. And decided that entrepreneurs were my roots and they were my heart. And so Far Beyond Marketing was born. And I have a team of 8 phenomenal professionals who don't work for me, they work with me. And today we serve hardworking entrepreneurs and franchisees and franchisors to not waste money on marketing that doesn't work. We offer comprehensive agency services, but we are backed by the very best AI and technology solutions in the world, I believe, to bring best-in-class results to our clients.
Man, what a background. I have to say, you started off, you said homeschooled, which is pretty awesome. We homeschooled, when I say we, really my wife did all the work, but we homeschooled both of our kids. And, I love the model. And so great that you've, one of the things, it's so funny. If you're a homeschool parent or you've been homeschooled, you'll appreciate this, that most of the time when you tell people you homeschool your kids, the very first question, it's never, what's the curriculum? It's never like, how do you do a lesson plan? It's, are they socialized?
Oh, yeah. If COVID taught us nothing, it was we weren't that crazy after all, right? Because the homeschool movement has skyrocketed since COVID. And oh my gosh, look at us. We were normal all along. Who knew?
Yeah, and so to go from homeschooling to marketing and talk about socializing, because there's a lot of socialization that goes into marketing.
Yep.
But
Yep.
you have a really broad background. It seems like you focus a lot on small business, which is where you got a little bit of your starting point with your dad's business. When you think about marketing as it is today and what you're doing with your current company, Far Beyond Marketing, what are some of the things that you are focused on as a company, and who is that kind of best profile? I know you service a lot of different people. The more common profile that you guys tend to work with.
We are really focused on bringing comprehensive, simplified solutions that drive return on investments for our clients. So often our clients have been burned by marketing that they might as well have just taken $100 bills and flushed them down the toilet. We are really, really big on technology and AI powered solutions so that our clients can do what they do best, which is run their business without worrying about marketing. So whether we are acting as a fractional CMO to advise them and bring the best in class vendors to them, or whether we are a comprehensive solution doing everything for them so they don't even have to worry about it. They just look at their executive dashboard. That's what we're doing. So really, our ideal client profile, or ICP, is a busy business owner who is committed to growth, who knows that they have hit a threshold, but they don't know why. So we are industry agnostic. We serve everyone from restaurants to plumbers to therapists to daycares. But what they all have in common is a commitment to marketing, technology, consistency, and return on investment.
It's interesting. There's a nonprofit organization that kind of comes to mind that I'm aware of. And one of the things, they've been in existence for a number of years. And one of the things they're, with a nonprofit, I always remind people that nonprofit is a tax status, not a business plan. The idea is not to, a lot of people think, well, it's nonprofit, they don't make money. No, that's not the point of it. The point is to, be sustainable, right?
Right.
And,
Right.
I think about them because, they try to do their own kind of internal outreach and internal marketing. And what they really provide is a service for youths and adults, but it is it's an acting studio, but they do a lot with helping young kids to kind of find themselves and thrive and things like that. And I think to myself that I've seen they do the standard Instagram posts and Facebook posts, and they put things out like that, and they try and gin up excitement through those things. I'm always in the back of my head thinking, there's more to it though. Like there's how do
Yes.
you work with organizations who are maybe in that space, a little stuck with their current approach?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we are actually privileged to also work with a nonprofit that serves adult mentally handicapped residents in our area. And so they were in the same boat. They didn't, and they were fundraising and not going anywhere. And they really weren't sure why it wasn't working, but they're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. Their creativity was unparalleled. So what we do as a baseline is start with a complimentary consultation to feel what is their pain? Where are they stuck? And cross-reference the pain point with the goals. What are we trying to accomplish? And my daddy always said something very simple. It was begin with the end in mind. And with the end in mind of what their goals are, then we craft a customized marketing plan that will drive results for them. So in this case, they were posting online, but not consistently capitalizing on the algorithm because they didn't understand the algorithmic importance of frequency plus video. Also, they were posting online without understanding their target audience. I tell my clients all the time, you wouldn't believe how many times people are wanting to capture dog lovers, but they're using cat lover language. So it's a matter of knowing who you serve, where they're hanging out, and how to talk to them. So usually we start with a complimentary consultation. We define their goals. We help them with their messaging. And then we outline the tactical platforms where they need to be.
You used a term there, talking to dog owners using cat language. So
So, in general, it's very, very common for people to assume that their audience understands what they're saying, and they quite simply don't. We have what's called a website teardown service, where for $25, we will audit someone's website and tell them exactly why it's not converting on a technical level and on a copy and a branding level. And when I'm keynote speaking, I have an international best-selling book. And when I'm keynote speaking for business organizations, I will pull up websites and I will say, tell me what this company does. And they can't do it. When in reality, a website visitor is going to spend exactly 2.5 seconds on a website. And if you don't grab their attention, you've paid maybe $50 to $100 to drive them there and then lost them. So it's imperative to understand who your audience is, what they are trying to accomplish through your products or services, and then speak the language that matters to them so that they will pay attention to your company.
we talk about search engine optimization, that gets thrown out a lot. One of the stories that I've told in the foundation of this business, and something we got to talking a little bit before we got started, but I didn't tell you this part, which might be helpful to know where I'm coming from as I talk about SEO. So we started DissedMedia 2.5, 3 years ago. 0 followers, 0 presence online. Started the podcast as a means of chronicling what we do from the ground up. Like, it was we're going to tell the story of starting this business, and you're going to be in the front seat of we're going to crash and burn, or we're going to do well. And so we're still here, which is, still doesn't mean we're not going to crash and burn, but at least we're alive for now. But the point of that was, one of the things I focused on early on was SEO. And when I first started doing this, my impression of SEO was use the right keywords that people are looking for, because that's what the popular literature says. Well, that is like 10% of the story.
maybe 10%, right?
Because just because you use a keyword that people use doesn't mean that people are going to find you. Like, page rank matters, domain authority matters, how often you use it matters, how many people circulate that keyword to you matters. And if you're not in the first, 5 results on Google, what does it matter anyways? And oh, by the way, the other people who are on top have way more presence, way more content, way more social value than you do. You're going to find yourself on like page 100 and nobody cares.
It's so true. So how did you beat the algorithms? I'm curious as to your experience.
A lot of it, interestingly enough, one of the reasons I started getting into building this company and starting this company is I started teaching a class in social media marketing. And okay, yes, as somebody might say, well, what are you teaching a class in social media marketing? And you've got things to learn about it. So I've been teaching for about 20 years. There's a broad variety of things that I touch upon because I've worked with places like Coca-Cola. I've worked with big companies like Disney and McDonald's and Walmart, supported sales and marketing, very aware of. I will say I have a lot of book knowledge on it, but I didn't have practical ground on the street knowledge of it. And so I wanted to add that to my repertoire. So this is why I built this, because it's really about taking theory and putting it into practice and seeing what works and what doesn't.
Yes.
And so, what I found was, first of all, you don't dabble in social media. It is a discipline. It's a practice. It's not a hobby. So you have to be doing it every day. And I focused on putting out content every single day, writing content every single day, looking for unique keywords that connected to my brand and what I was doing, what I was trying to do, and got an article picked up that was mentioned in Forbes, tried to continue to build backlinks and things like that. But online publishing is crazy challenging, right? But what we do at DissedMedia is, we do the podcast. We have a YouTube channel. We do things on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Threads, X. Every day
Okay.
we create a post.
Okay.
Um, it's an everyday practice, right? And do we get it right all the time? No, we're still learning every single day. But it's about, like you talked about, looking at data and analytics. Yeah, you get obsessed with digging into the numbers and what spiked and why did it spike, and who liked it, who shared it,
That's right.
all of that stuff.
Yeah, that's right. And you mentioned two very important things in your answer, which is online video and online publications. And we have so many clients whose eyes glaze over when we talk about search engine optimization. And we have other friends in the industry who own agencies, and they say search engine optimization is dead. It's not dead. It's that the metrics impacting your search results have changed and will continue to change. Video is no longer an option. It is a necessity. Social media is no longer an option. It is a core functionality, but only when used in association with your other online vehicles, such as your website, such as your Google business profile, such as your blogs. You're not going to rank on ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or any of these other AI optimizations unless everything aligns and the algorithms are going to produce the top search results. So really, the industry leaders are the ones that have learned to harness AI to tell AI what to do. Because people aren't going to read. They're not interested in reading. What they're interested in is the top results you mentioned.
And what is interesting is, since my company, since DissedMedia made the shift from more written content to video content, the engagement level is just, wow, so different. Our goal is to hit 100,000 YouTube subs in 2026.
Love it.
We started at the end of it, I'm going to say around October, we had around 300. We just broke 7,000. And I've got an intense strategy to do it. And by the way, a strategy that isn't costing me a heck of a lot of money. Everything that it's funny because people are like, "Are you using bot farms?" And I'm like, "Nope." I am using YouTube to run ads. I have a very calculated method that I've used to approach it, and it's yielding some great results. But you don't learn that unless you make the investment to go learn it and figure it out. Or, quite honestly, the easier approach is find somebody like Amber who's gonna help you find. I'm doing this as a lesson in education, as a demonstration to show people. I mean, look, folks, it took me 2.5 years to reach 7,000 subs on YouTube. I imagine with a concentrated marketing strategy, you could do it a lot faster.
Well, it sounds like you need to come on my school community and be one of our teachers for a workshop to talk to our people. Because anytime someone buys a marketing product or service from us, we give them free access to our school community because we share your passion for education, and we believe that the more educated our clients are, the better clients they are, and the more successful they are. So, as I tell my team all the time, open the kimono. Give them all the information. Tell them everything that we're doing for them. Gone are the days of what I call Wizard of Oz marketing. Don't look behind the curtain. No, pull the curtain back. People want to understand why what you're doing is working.
And that's honestly, that's part of this podcast. We chronicle our own story, but then also tell the stories of other people as well, because, business is hard. And one of the things that is, kind of our passion, right? Our mantra is help managers, leaders, and entrepreneurs get better at what they do. There are a lot of people out there who have an idea but are afraid. Unfortunately, they've been conditioned to think that they're not worthy, they're not smart enough, they're not good enough. None of that is true. Starting a business is pretty much one of the easiest things you'll ever do. Now, starting it, okay, running it gets harder. generating revenue and all of that stuff. But a lot of these things you can build on, you can get better at. It's important to start surrounding yourself with a community of people that will fill in the gaps that
Yes.
you might not be great at. I think a lot of people have a really good skill that they could turn into a business, but maybe they're missing the marketing piece. I got a great product, how do I sell it? I got a great product, how do I tell the story about it? How do I
Right.
reach customers? And because people don't have any idea about that, they just give up, which is terrible.
Right. I completely agree with you. And the thing about it is, too, business takes tenacity and it also takes funding. And
Yeah.
when you're a startup business, you don't have the time for things to not work. And many of the businesses wait too long to take action, and therefore they've run out of funding. So you have to be willing to employ guerrilla marketing and hit the boots on the pavement and, work your network, 30 coffees in 30 days, LinkedIn networking, chamber of commerce. There are phases of growth for every business. Your small business and your startup business, that is grassroots marketing at its core. Your medium-sized businesses, which is a broad term, has the capacity to embrace and build systems. And then your enterprise level businesses are really looking for the profitability tweaks of existing systems to make sure that they are getting the best margin possible. So with that in mind, it really is a matter of putting the right mix in place for the business that you're working with so that you're helping them accomplish their goals. A very unpopular opinion that I hold to is that marketing doesn't set the operational goals for a business. The operational goals dictate to marketing. And I think that's something that a lot of marketers tend to miss, is that if you're not aligned with the operational goals, you're going to be marching down a path for a certain set of accomplishments that do not have merit for your clients.
Yeah, so well said. And I love the fact that you touched on the spectrum of business. Small, startup, bootstrapped organizations like myself, we tend to have we are able to do a lot of different things and try a lot of different stuff because we have, quite honestly, less to risk. If you're a bigger brand and a bigger company that is, as you've mentioned, you're trying to get more profitability, more juice from the squeeze. And
Exactly.
so when you're a smaller company, you can be a little bit more nimble. You can try things, you can throw stuff against a wall, and if something doesn't hit, that's okay. And I think your audience tends to be a little bit more forgiving. But when you're Coca-Cola, like, Coca-Cola caught a lot of heat recently because they generated an AI ad and people went nuts. They just did not like it. But if I did an AI ad, nobody would even care.
Right. And isn't that funny that people didn't like that? I mean, I think that in and of itself is fascinating because I'm like, yeah, it's kind of here to stay. So
I think it's a lot of the feedback that I read was that as a big organization, you can afford to pay people. And they saw it as a means of saying, you're just trying to cut corners and you're not employing people. And as a big company, you should be focused on employing talent and artists and people who create. And you took all of that away because you wanted the money on an ad.
But
I
did they?
don't.
Because I would argue the counterpoint that the artists, the creatives, and the technical minded individuals that worked on that AI generated ad had to be just as involved if they were doing their homework. Because again, I shared with you before the call that we are an AI backed firm. We believe in employing AI to make our results better and our team more efficient. And because we have AI, we're actually able to employ the best of the best and take on more clients rather than having copywriters getting brain freeze in the back of the room. It's always easier to edit than to create. So I think some of these general opinions are perhaps not as well versed in the skill set that it takes to manage, monitor, and deploy an AI campaign.
That is so well said. So as listeners know, I've been teaching in higher ed for the past 20 years, as part of my repertoire of things I do. But I was talking with students. We just launched a new semester, and my focus on AI discussions gets more intense every semester because it's just so dominates the landscape now. And I tell students, like, use it. I want you to use it. I want you to learn it, but I want you to be good at it. The thing about AI is, and you mentioned this, is great. You have to be a good editor. To be a good editor, you have to have, we talk about writing and writing papers. To be a good editor, you have to be a good writer. And the only way you become a good writer is by doing it a lot and practicing it a lot. And then and with people giving you feedback on your work and you tweaking your skill, you become a better writer. And then you graduate to becoming a better editor because you've taken in all of this feedback that other people have given you. You've honed your craft, you've honed your skill. You're now of editorial quality, I guess we would say. If you've never done that step, if you've just moved right away to editor, you're going to be lousy. Like, you're just not going to be good at it. So as you talk about using AI is a great augmentation tool. And as an editor using AI, you realize that it's not a replacement for work. It's an accelerator to help you get more done.
So true.
And you move out of tactical to strategic.
Right.
You're not doing the day-to-day tactical stuff. You've done that. You've honed that skill. Now you're in the strategy seat and you're making bigger, broader decisions. You're becoming more of a thought leader with AI as opposed to just somebody who's being very tactical. So
right.
Yeah, the idea that you're bringing your years of experience in marketing, having cut your teeth on doing the hard work, and now looking at AI and saying, oh my gosh, this is going to help me do so much more because all of these ideas that I never had time to get to, now I can deploy with AI.
And I think there is a bit of fear mongering going on when it comes to AI as well, that AI is going to take our jobs. AI is going to take our jobs. Why? Why does AI have to take your job? I don't think so. I think those who are skilled, strategic, and collaborative will always have a job, will always have a role. As you said, AI is an augmentation of the humanistic aspect that is present in our business world today. It is not a substitution. You can't AI heartfelt emotion or human connection. People are always going to buy from people they know, like, and trust. And they don't know, like, and trust you, you're going to have a job. So again, I don't understand why we have this fear mongering of how AI is going to take our jobs. Embrace the technology. It's the same technology that brought us cell phones. They launched a man on the moon with the same amount of technology that's in my cell phone today. Come on. Like, let's think about
less than technology,
right? Probably less than. So, I mean, let's talk about the amazing things that we can accomplish together instead of burying our heads in the sand and going, oh, well, I might as well not even try.
That is so true. I think I've had this discussion in the past that, AI is if your job is one in which you've never really thought about, like, growing, expanding, taking on new challenges, you've kind of settled into a status quo, you don't want to rock the boat, you don't really want to expand your universe, yeah, I'd be worried about AI. I mean, I would. But if you're a critical thinker, if you're somebody who can synthesize information, if you can take different elements and put them together, which, by the way, that is one of the things AI is not good at doing. It's not good at looking across different data points and synthesizing abstract things together to develop something new.
So true.
Anybody who's worked with AI knows, like, it gets it wrong a lot.
I tried to brand a document today. I was doing a summation for a real estate agent, a client of ours. And I was highlighting all the work that we've done because we had to go in and fix a website that was not well done for her. And so I told AI, I uploaded my brand standards, my logo, the document I created. I said, please create a branded document for me to give to my client. And you know what I got back? Another page on the document with my brand standards listed out, telling me what I needed to do to build it. And I was like, not the point. Never mind.
Yeah, I mean, it can be good, but at times it's kind of like working with a first year intern.
So we actually call our paid instance of AI the far beyond marketing intern. We're like, give it to the intern.
Yeah, and again, a smart intern, but not
But an
I will say a
intern.
smart intern, not a wise intern, right?
There you
And
go.
wisdom really gets built from experience and trials and tribulations, and it'll get there. Like it's getting better every single year, but it is still a work in progress.
Yes. Yes.
Thinking about, I love this conversation about AI, and you talk about AI marketing and how you all are leveraging that. For those who hear it, and we know because we touched on it a little bit, like people that sometimes turn their nose up at the fact that you would, how dare you possibly use AI for something? Um, Help us understand a little bit. How has it transformed what you do and made what you do better for the clients you serve?
Oh, how hasn't it transformed what we do? It has allowed us, as I mentioned earlier, to increase our capacity to a whole other level. It has allowed us to hone our skills and fill in the missing gaps of information when we were stuck and not understanding why we weren't getting the results that we needed. It has allowed us to empower and educate our clients. It has allowed us to duplicate ourselves. Now I have a product offering where if someone wants to work with me one-on-one, but they can't afford my hourly rate as an international best-selling author, as a 20-year marketing strategist, as a keynote speaker, as a business owner, they can have a monthly subscription to my AI persona that I have programmed with all of my information, all of my experience, and they can work with Amber unlimited. And that becomes their marketing mentor. So it's allowed us to literally duplicate ourselves and our services in a way that fits into a wider variety of budgets. And, you talk about AI in our school community. We're able to empower our people with knowledge. We're able to utilize AI with diagnostic tools. When you talk about the betterment of your clients, as long as you have that servant leadership heart, AI can be your best friend.
It's funny that you say that. So I've had the opportunity, since I really started focusing on our podcast and our video. I've connected with a lot of creators, and I've spent some time with some folks. I've talked about these guys all the time, but the founders of Podfest and VidFest.
Yeah.
Love these folks because there's so many people in that community, so many creators in that community that have a lot of wisdom to share.
Yeah.
And some creators are even going so far. You talk about an AI coach. Some creators are going so far as to developing AI video personas of themselves and
I've done
doing
it.
video.
I have a cartoon. If you go to my website at Far Beyond Marketing and you go to my Limitless and Lead program, you'll see the cartoon version of Amber.
That is awesome. And this is the thing, like people don't understand as a business, these are tools and resources that you can begin to take advantage of to help you broaden your experience. And something that I want people to understand is when you get yourself involved in a business, the one thing that I have learned about working with entrepreneurs and business people, more times than not, they are cheerleading your success. Like
Absolutely.
people want to see other people do well. It's funny. I've worked many years at Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is a very, boy, uh, they are the kind of company that they love their brand, and everybody else in the world related to that space is dead to them.
Oh,
They
really?
call the competitor they call Pepsi the competitor.
Oh, well, I
If
call
you work
Pepsi
at
personally. No.
well, so here's how hardcore they are at Coca-Cola, and anybody who's worked there knows. Anybody who hasn't, I tell these stories and they're like, "What?" So if you work at Coca-Cola, you don't go to Pizza Hut, KFC, Long John Silver's, anything that's owned by Yum Brands because they used to be a Pepsi company. They're a spin-off company. You don't eat them. You do your best to try and avoid any Frito-Lay products. You don't bring them into, I mean, there are people I remember working at Coca-Cola, they didn't buy Frito-Lay. They didn't bring it into their home. You don't stay at hotels that are Pepsi accounts. You don't eat at restaurants that are Pepsi accounts. Like they are hardcore.
That's right.
And don't ever even think about bringing any of those products into the building, a Coca-Cola building. You will be, it is a sacred unwritten rule that you just don't break.
Yeah. And so that goes back to that wonderful book called Raving Fans. If you can indoctrinate someone to be that passionate about your brand, you basically obliterate your competition, don't you?
Yes. But you also put at risk, I think, the ability to innovate, strategize, get better. It's when you dominate, you can get lazy. And I'm not necessarily talking about Coca-Cola, but I'm talking about any company that ends up dominating. You end up a little weak because you have so much of the market. It's interesting because I've been in the wine industry for the last 10 years. And one of the things about the wine industry that's really interesting and what I love about it is the fact that people try to help each other out. And when I worked in Napa Valley, like they're farmers. There are people who go and they try each other's product. They support each other. They see it as we're all in it together. Let's try and help each other make something of this industry. And they all kind of work together as members of the industry to be a part of it. They understand their consumers like variety. Their consumers like to try different things, and maybe they'll try us next time. But it's a community of people, and now I work with an Italian wine importer, and in Italy, it's the same thing. Like when you're a farmer, when you're in that business, you gravitate to other people and you support them, and that's one of the things I find is really nice in the entrepreneurial space as well, is that people look to support you. And help you grow. So, yes, there's a lot of paid for services out there, but there's also a lot of community out there as well.
I agree. I could not agree with you anymore. And I think that entrepreneurs are salt of the earth, hardest working people that you'll ever meet that just have that extra grit and grind to make it happen. Because really what entrepreneurship is freedom. It's the freedom to control our time. It's the risk and freedom of controlling our money. And it's the freedom to build the kind of life and future that we want for our families. And that's what propelled me forward, is I wasn't willing to delegate the growth of my son to someone else. I wanted to be hands-on with him. How are you going to do that as a mom, especially as a single mom? You have to be able to make a living during the hours that you can work. And entrepreneurship gives you that opportunity. So I think it's the greatest calling that we could have, really. And that's why we're blessed to serve entrepreneurs at Far and Beyond Marketing. We try to go far and beyond just marketing. We want entrepreneurs to go far and beyond, whatever it takes for us to put together a great service for our clients. That's what we're going to do. And I really do believe at the heart of most entrepreneurs, they share that passion as well.
So let me ask you about that, because we talked a little bit about the marketing, the AI front. Share with me a little bit about that kind of portfolio of support you provide for people.
Well, it ranges from fractional services where we handle all their marketing for a flat monthly rate. It also goes down into website development and website maintenance for people who have an existing site, but they don't understand why or how their website is broken. Because, most people don't tell you that building a website is like a rent house. You got to maintain it. Most people go, I got a website, it's done. No, it's very hard. You got to flush those plugins. You got to flush that water heater. So we do web dev and web design. We do messaging. We are very privileged to be a StoryBrand guide. There's only a couple hundred of us in the world, maybe a few hundred of us in the world that learned from the great Donald Miller. So branding and marketing and messaging is a huge part of what we do. And then we have the AI services for anyone that wants to just take advantage of our think tank and our methodologies. They can subscribe to our AI for SEO, for coaching, for development. But we really do try and match the service to the client and be mindful of their budget and their operational goals.
You mentioned StoryBrand Guide. Talk to me a little bit more about that. Like what is it? How does it help people? How has it helped you?
Yeah. Oh, it launched my my entrepreneurial journey when I was just starting out. I didn't know what kind of business I was going to build. So, StoryBrand is a book written by Donald Miller, and now he has parlayed it into a membership, a training, workshops, and podcast. And it's called Story Branding Your Business. And it's based on the framework of multi-million dollar best-selling movies that they follow the same framework. Every movie that's a blockbuster hit follows the same framework. And so when you apply storytelling techniques to the branding aspects of your company, you basically cut through the clutter of other messaging and you allow the human brain to absorb what you are telling them faster and more effectively. So the 7-part framework developed by Donald Miller is something that we incorporate into every single website, every single brand guide, every single email. It's something that we do for our clients automatically so that they can have the opportunity to 10x their marketing results.
So if I'm not mistaken, that is the framework that Pixar also talks about, right?
Yep. Pixar, Gillette, Dove, Dollar Shave Club, a few politicians who will remain nameless. When you implement StoryBrand, you 10x your results.
Yeah, no, it is a very effective strategy. And it's actually funny enough. So I just finished my first book. And it is something I actually mentioned in my book as well. So,
congratulations. I love it. Welcome to the author club. I love it. We're all a little crazy.
yeah, no, it was, but it's so very true. And as I was talking about, you talked about ICP, right? You're focusing on your individual customer profile. One of the things that they talked about is the story, the brand. And as I was writing that, I was like, yeah, like that Pixar, their approach to storytelling. It's so funny that we hadn't even spoken yet. And it is one of those things that is out there in the world, that effective branding, effective storytelling, such an important part of shaping your business message.
It's the first C in my 4 C's of effective marketing that is the backbone of my book as well. It's clear, consistent copy. And we talk about story branding. That is the first C in the 4 C's of effective marketing. Yep.
Talk about that for a second. Your book, The 4 C's. Love to try and touch on these things so people know where they can consume more of this stuff, because this is really beneficial information. Walk us through a little bit about that and what's in your book.
Sure. So the book was written as a guidebook for busy entrepreneurs who were tired of walking into marketing meetings underprepared. So it is literally an easy weekend read that you take a highlighter to. I even put an appendix of marketing terms in the back of it so that any busy business owner can go into a meeting with a marketer and speak the same language and be on par. So it's a guidebook for marketing your business. In fact, the subtitle is Stop Being Duped by Bad Marketing. But inside the book, we talk about the 4 C's of effective marketing. The foundational C, the first C, is what we just said, the clear, consistent copy based upon Donald Miller's story brand. The second C is consistent branding, that ideal client profile that we've been talking about, putting the right brand with the right message to the right customer so that you are finding them and they are understanding that your message is for them. The third C is consistent rev gen. You want to make sure that you're going again and again and again, because marketing is all about trial and error. You're not going to have a magic bullet when it comes to marketing. And the fourth C is channel management. You've got to make sure that you have a system in place so that you can upsell current clients, because it's a lot easier to upsell a current client than to go fish for a new client. So that's the 4 C's: clear copy, consistent branding, customer demographic, and channel management.
I love when we boil things down into like very simple frameworks. I'm very pragmatic that way. So I like the fact that you make it simple for people to understand. And then part of the challenge, and I think this is where organizations like yourself really make it easier for folks, is similar to what I was mentioning earlier. It's one thing to understand the concept, the framework, the theory. It's quite another to put it into practice and go through the trial and the error and the mistakes. You can spend a lot of money making mistakes.
Absolutely. I've done
it. As have we. It's one of those things that a lot of what I've done with DissedMedia and the Daily Pitch and this podcast, it's really been kind of a labor of love. But, at the end of the day, lots of great lessons have come from failing in a
Most
lot of things that
expensive
we've tried.
lessons, right?
Yeah. It has become helpful, which is why, when I hear about businesses like yours, um, sometimes for business owners and a lot of people that I engage with, a lot of people that I talk with, they're speakers, they're coaches, they're trying to build their speaking business. And then others are, brick and mortars. And I have connections that I have that are running online businesses and things like that. But we're all in this space of, how do you get seen? How do you get heard? This idea, and I really want to make sure that people understand this idea that you're going to go viral. Virality is so rare. It's, if we want to talk about winning the lottery and then we're going to hang everything on, hey, I'm going to win the lottery and all my problems are going to be solved. That's the equivalent of somebody saying, I'm going to make a video and go viral.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. I've had the privilege of sitting in a training with the #1 YouTuber in the world. And when he talks about the components necessary to sustain his life through income from YouTube, it's hard work. It is
Yeah,
hard
it's a
work.
lot of
And
work.
there is no coincidence involved in it.
One of the things I touch upon is this idea that people want to become YouTube influencers, or they want to build a lifestyle or a career out of making videos and being in social media. The reality is that, first of all, you got to have a ton of content out there. And it
Yeah.
oftentimes, if you're going to be a YouTube creator, you got to have a good repository of 4 or 5 years
Yep.
of video or content. You got to be posting on a regular basis. And then outside of the volume, it's got to be interesting. It's got to be optimized. It's got to, there is so much to it. And again, it is, I like to be realistic about people's ambitions around social media, and social media marketing becomes a commitment that you have to maintain. And I would imagine even with far beyond marketing, like, there's, I don't know if I want to say it that way. I was going to say there's only so much you can do for a client. I would imagine that when you have a client that is kind of like, you guys just handle it, just do it, and then they're expecting it to just go gangbusters. I feel like that's a little bit of false reality as well.
It is. It is. You have to have your clients to be absolutely collaborative with you and be willing to come to the meetings and understand that this is an ongoing conversation that you are doing with them and for them. And the other challenge is when clients don't understand that there is no magic fairy dust. Marketing takes time. I guess being from the South, I use a lot of euphemisms, but marketing is a 7-layer cake. You can have the icing. It'll be really, really sweet. It ain't gonna last you anything. So you got to have all 7 layers of that cake for that bite to be comprehensively fulfilling. And that's what we tell our clients. Like we have to look at all aspects of your marketing. A la carte marketing is rarely successful by itself. You're not going to 10x your business by just doing social, just doing SEO, it's not going to happen. It's everything put together.
It's got to be everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there are some who say, I only do TikTok. I only do. They lock themselves into one platform. You're like,
So true. So true.
Those people who tend to lock themselves into just one platform, how much more challenging is it?
Well, not every client is for us. You can't be afraid to say no to a client. Either you have a shared vision and a shared goal, or you don't. And so at that point in time where someone says, I'm only going to do this, they can find a solopreneur who will just do that for them. And that's fine. But that's not us. We want to work with people who are committed to results and are committed to growing their brand. And so I've told many people, we're not a fit. Best wishes and holy blessings, but we're not a fit.
Yeah. No, that's good. The power of being able to say no is just probably more powerful than saying yes.
Yeah. I mean, every no leads to a yes. Every no makes room for a yes. And so we're not interested in short-term turn them and burn them clients either. We're interested in partnerships. We want to partner with brands that are growing and building, because when they win, we win. So if we were just interested in turn them and burn them, we wouldn't be in business for 20 years.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine recently post. He said for 2026, unless it's a hell yes, it's a no.
I like that. Oh, I like that. Put that on a t-shirt.
Amber, as we look to wrapping things up here, one of the things I wanted to ask about is the portfolio of services that you have. Where do you think right now you're most excited about the things that you have on your radar or things that you guys have in the works that you're maybe looking at coming out with in the near future?
Well, I'll give you a little peek about what we're really rolling out and that we're testing right now with a core group of clients. It is high buyer intent signals for online searches. You know how when you run an ad online, you don't know how intentional a potential client is. You can meet a potential client through ads by your audience, your age, your demographic analysis. You can put the right service in front of someone who has shown that they have an interest in those services, but you don't really know if they're looking to buy a year from now or tomorrow. So the difference that we are incorporating into our ads and our services is high buyer intent triggers. And what I mean by that is we have a technology that shows us the name, the address, the email address, all kinds of incredible data for those who have chosen not to block it. We can't break any kind of privacy laws, mind you, but based on a core set of keywords in any given zip code, we can find people who have been online searching for those keywords within the last 4 days. And when we find that group of people who have expressed an interest in those keywords within a target geographic area, we are then able to go and do an ad campaign to them or do a LinkedIn campaign and engage them. We are able to email them. We are able to build a high buyer intent funnel so that we have cut the buying journey timeline in half. So it's incredible stuff. It's so exciting.
Yeah, that sounds, again, thinking about my friends in the coaching and speaking space, but even more so than that, I would imagine that is a really good fit for your products that are a little bit higher in dollar value, because oftentimes those are the ones you have to market to a lot more, get them to a conversion. So this sounds like something that can be very good at helping anybody who's selling a product that has a little bit higher dollar value to it.
Yeah. I mean, it's called our Limitless Lead program. We do have a landing page up about it for people that want to test it out. And then in addition to that, again, we've hit on the point that entrepreneurs are very busy. So let's say, okay, that sounds great, Amber, but I don't have time to go follow up with these people. Okay, we'll build the sales funnel for you. We'll do the booking for you. We'll do the follow-up for you. We will literally handle the entire sales funnel so that you can run your business. So again, it's building a system, not just a tool, to drive the results on behalf of the client.
That is really cool. Man, well, so Amber, help us understand. People are looking for help. They're looking for a marketing genius like yourself. How do they find you? How do they get in touch?
Just go to our website. It's very easy. It's farbeyondmarketing.com. You can also find us on LinkedIn. My last name is spelled a little weird, so make sure and put the ING. So it's GAIGE. But find us on LinkedIn. Go to our website. Search for us on social media. We're around. We're just around the corner.
You're like, this is what we do. We're not hard to find.
Exactly. We're not hiding.
Amber, thank you so much for all that you shared. I really appreciate. I always like it when we go off script a little bit and get into some offbeat conversation. So always appreciate that. But thank you so much for your wisdom, for your knowledge, for the things that you shared. I'm very interested in keeping in touch and keeping in tabs on what you guys are doing, because there, as we were talking about it, like there's already a few people in mind that I'm like, man, I need to make sure they're aware of you guys, because I think there's some benefit that can be had there.
That is so kind. Networking is huge. And if we can help each other win, then we all win and we all grow. So I would love to stay in touch. And I really appreciate what you're doing for entrepreneurs too. We all need a friend on the other side of the microphone to encourage us and tell us that it's possible.
Yes, absolutely. Because we gotta help each other out. As they say, as the waters rise, all the boats rise together.
There you go.
Well, everybody, thank you guys for checking out DissedMedia, a startup story. Like, share, subscribe, tell your enemies about us because that's how we grow. The goal is to hit 100,000 subs on YouTube by the end of 2026. And, we're getting there. As I mentioned, we just hit 7K, and probably by the time you hear this, we're going to be even higher than that. So looking forward to it. Thank you guys for dropping in, and we'll catch you next time. Have a good one. Thanks for listening to DissedMedia, a startup story. This podcast was produced and edited by Ben Olmos and is a production of DissedMedia Corporation. If you're interested in learning more about anything you heard on this episode, please reach out to us at podcast@dissedmedia.com. You can also get more information about this and other episodes or information about our guests by checking out dailypitch.news, our business and insights publication focused on helping managers, leaders, and entrepreneurs get better at what they do.